It's very funny. Everyone's like, don't weaponize space, don't weaponize space. And I agree. I don't want there to be wars in space. It would screw up a lot of stuff for the world. At the same time, if someone else weaponizes space and we don't, we're kind of screwed. There's a natural network effect in space where it's very cheap. Like for the cost of one aircraft carrier, you can put up probably 150,000 things up there that you can accurately drop on people within 1 meter. And I don't want stuff exploding in space, but like,
what are some things that other countries are getting involved in that concern you?
well, I mean, I think the fact that we let China and Russia become such close allies is ridiculous. I think that was a huge strategic mistake. And I think they're not necessarily natural allies. I think that was something where we drove them into each other. So that concerns me. I think the biggest concern right now is Turkey. And on top of that, I mean,
Turkey.
Yeah, so Russia and China obviously the biggest concern, Iran obviously, but Turkey is like the biggest kind of wild card going out right now. So Turkey, Ataturk created Turkey as the first really successful secular Muslim country in the modern world, and it was a really big deal. And there's a lot of problems historically with Islamists, today with Islamists. So he built all these institutions into Turkey to stop the Islamists from taking over because he knew that would always be a threat. And one of the most important institutions was the army, to make sure that Islamists did not run it, and that his job was to fight and stop Islamists if they were going to take over society. And Erdogan knew this. Erdogan, a lot of us thought, when I was a kid, but I thought he was a moderate when he came in 20 years ago. That's how he ran. But he's secretly, like, very strongly on the Islamist side. And so in order to make the Islamists win again in Turkey, you had to take out these organizations in society that had been built to stop Islamists. And so when he did the coup 8 years ago, a lot of us believe, and a lot of intelligence agencies believe, it was purposely tripped off as a coup in order to get all these people to come up and see who's going to be anti-Islamist and then wipe them out. And so what happened in society is he ended up like killing and torturing tens of thousands of people 8 years ago when this happened. Anyone who was going to be against Islamists, anyone who was kind of built in to stop that. And so those people were all eliminated. The people in the army who were against Islamists were all eliminated. And so for the first time, all of Ataturk's protections are gone. So now you have this like very Islamist leader who's very pro-Islamist. And he just like with his forces conquered Syria because of what's going on in the Middle East for Islamists. He also now is wiping out, by reportedly, huge numbers of Kurds. Like you can go look online. I think a lot more Kurds have died in the last month than people in Gaza have died this entire last year. And you're not hearing protests about it, because there's no Jews involved. But it's like, it's crazy. They're just killing off the Kurds. And by the way, a lot of the Kurds were close allies with a lot of my friends in the special forces who had to deal with stuff over there. They were our friends.
Yeah.
And they don't have a country, which I think they should. A lot of their territories inside Turkey, a lot of it's inside of Iraq, a lot of it's inside Syria. And they're the Islamist enemy. The Islamists don't want these guys to have their own country. And so he's wiping a bunch of them out. And I'm very scared what Turkey does next. Turkey has nuclear weapons that, because it's in NATO. It's a wild card. Like, are they going to go after and help the Islamists like take out the Jordanian king? I don't know. But there's like lots of really scary things. So I think Iran's on the run. We need to finish off the whole story with Iran. But now there's this other Islamist threat there that's a wild card that we're going to be dealing with and figuring out. It's pretty scary to me.
Shit. That wasn't even on my radar. What about technology? Are you worried about, is China developing anything that you're aware of that we should be concerned about? Or does Russia have any technology that they overplayed their hand? Maybe.
China has a bunch of advanced new technology in all sorts of areas, whether it's hypersonics, whether it's massive numbers of submarines, whether it's all sorts of new projects they're working on that I'm sure I don't even know about. All sorts of things. They're trying to copy SpaceX. Thank God we have SpaceX and they don't, but they're trying to copy it. I don't know if you see the videos, it blows up when they try, but they're going to get there eventually, probably. Because Elon's really smart, but we have a really great program, but eventually they catch up and they do things in space, which scares me. What am I scared by? I'm scared by the space stuff, to tell you the truth. I really hope. It's very funny. Everyone's like, don't weaponize space, don't weaponize space. And I agree. I don't want there to be wars in space. It would screw up a lot of stuff for the world. At the same time, if someone else weaponizes space and we don't, we're kind of screwed.
I have no insight into what's going on in space.
So I don't have any clearances around this, and so I might piss people off talking about it, but I'm not cleared, so I'm just going to go ahead and tell you a few things. But like the number one thing I'd say, there's a natural network effect in space where it's very cheap. Like for the cost of one aircraft carrier, you can put up probably 150,000 things up there that you can accurately drop on people within 1 meter. And they're much, much cheaper than missiles. And so you basically, and if someone does that and no one else does it, then like the person who has that first, you never launch a rocket again, because it's very easy to see if a rocket's being launched and you can just take it out. So there's a network effect that really scares me, that if there was going to be a war, whoever conquers and whoever has stuff up there first that's really good could probably stop the other guy from getting stuff up there. And I don't want stuff exploding in space, but like it's just such a powerful thing to own for any future battle
Wow.
we need to be thinking about it. I think some people are thinking about it. I'm not sure our budget reflects that we're thinking about it enough. By the way, this is why a lot of us were usually in favor of Space Force behind the scenes, and really glad that President Trump started that. It's obvious you need a Space Force. Because there's just, it's like, we're talking about how warfare changes, like the space thing is a scary angle.
Wow. Is there anything else that you're aware of going on? I mean, that's
That's a
fascinating
big
in
one.
itself.
That's a big one. I mean, the other thing in general is that I guess I'm most afraid of is that China has about 200 times our shipbuilding capacity, if you want to say. And I think you probably talked about this before. In World War II, you get these like, I have this cool painting at my house in Montana, or ski house, of these American ships hunting down a German warship and taking it out. But we needed multiple ships to do it because the German battleships were actually better than ours, I think. And now America ships are destroyers, not battleships anymore, but American destroyers, everything else, they're way more advanced than Chinese. But if someone has 200 times your capacity, that's really scary because eventually have a bunch of them hunted down, right? And so the question is, what the heck do? We need to get our capacity up. So my friends and I started this company, Saronic. We're going to hopefully build 500 ships in Austin next year, working with a bunch of the admirals, a bunch of the best people in the Navy. We're teaching them how to use AI to have like swarms of these weaponized vessels and how they can work together with the fleet and how we could eventually have thousands of these in any kind of mission or battle scenario. Because that's really what you want. Because for the cost of one big ship, by the way, all of our shipyards are delayed. They're all behind. It's pathetic. They're all run by administrators and turbulent relations. So this Navy is just like way behind and broken. So we need to have an alternate path to help create thousands of these ships that deter the bad guys.
That space thing blows my mind. I mean, if that happens, or we're not up there already, in with that 1 meter thing. I mean, when you had mentioned, you could stop anything else from coming up there. I mean, that right there that's global domination.
Yeah, but we really don't want there to be war in space because it may be the case that you start just blowing up certain things. They figure out how to get missiles or whatever and to blow up certain things, and then you have lots of junk up there, and then it's just a giant mess. And I think Starlink's really good for the world. Hopefully no one destroys all this shit.
No matter where you're watching Shawn Ryan Show from, if you get anything out of this, please like, comment, subscribe, and most importantly, share this everywhere you possibly can. And if you're feeling extra generous, please leave us a review on Apple and Spotify podcasts.